My name is Musetta. I am a registered nurse, or an RN. Do you guys know what kind of nurses there are? I'm a registered nurse, but there are a few other nurses. What other nurses are there?
Scrub nurse.
Say that again?
Scrub nurse.
A scrub nurse, okay, yes, scrub nurses. And the scrub nurses are registered nurses, so there's all kinds of specialties in nursing. There's other licensees though. So when I say I'm a registered nurse, that means I have a license. I've taken an exam in this state and they've given me a license because I passed that exam. And there's two other licensees that are nurses. What comes to your mind?
Vocational.
Yes, a licensed vocational nurse, exactly. And one other.
A practitioner.
A nurse practitioner, yes, yeah. So when I say I'm a registered nurse, it means that I have had some sort of education and I've taken some test that has to do with that license, and I passed the test, and then I was given a license, and they're given by the state. So if I were to go work in New York City, I've worked in New York City, and before I worked in New York City, I had to apply to the New York State Nursing Board and applied for a license. And I couldn't work in New York City until I had a New York license. So it's a legal license that's given by the state. So today, I'm here with Ms. Keeble and you guys to talk about two things. Career paths in healthcare specifically, and also the significance of mental health wellness as you are pursuing your path. I'm going to share with you my path and how I became a nurse. Some of it might apply to you, some of it will not, and some of you guys are not even going into healthcare. Can I get a hands of who is going into healthcare? Okay, great. If you're not going into healthcare, some of these things are just the human story and apply to whatever path you're figuring out for yourself. So we're talking primarily about healthcare, but hopefully some of the things I'm sharing that we talk about is also relevant to you guys in some way. So, two things. When you are done here today, I want you to think of two things, mental health wellness and a curious path. And we'll talk about that as I'm telling my story and walking you through a few things. Also, there is a youth healthcare symposium called Futuro coming up in January. If you are interested, here is the website. Your teacher is going to be bringing some students, and she will give you more information of how to sign up for that if you are going with your class. And I also just passed out some handouts, so go ahead and pick up your handouts. I want to go over those. There are two things I want to introduce to you. One looks like this. It is a career diagram. When I made this, I had the thought in mind that there's a path for all of us to find the career that we want long term. And you can get on that path in all different ways. In healthcare, we call the spectrum of that path, the beginning and the end, two different things. At the beginning, we call it a low entry job. And low entry means less education and less money. So for example, I worked as a certified nursing assistant as my first job as a nurse or as a healthcare person. So when I did that, I went to school for 8 weeks. And after 8 weeks, I took a license exam and passed it. And then I had a CNA, or Certified Nursing Assistant license. So my first job was close to this side of the path, the beginning. Less education, less money. So my paycheck was smaller than it is now as a registered nurse. After I went to school longer, then I got more money, right? So along the path, at the end of the path, is what we call advanced practice. And advanced practice jobs in healthcare are the ones where you go to school longer and you get paid more money. And everything in between are in between. They have less or more education and less or more money. Now the thing about this pathway is that when you're in high school, there are some things that you can do right now to check out healthcare. You can check out these low entry jobs now. So when you're looking at this, my copy is color and yours is black and white. But if you wanted to have something that's color coded, you can go to the website on the teacher page, and on that page you can download this PDF or just look at it and it has the color-coded meaning. But at the beginning, the red is entry-level jobs that you can do right now. So if you were bored this summer and you wanted to check out Certified Nursing Assistant and do your 8 weeks of class and take your exam, you can. So these ones right here are available to you right now. The one thing about emergency medical technician, you can take that class now. There's 2 courses you have to take to qualify, but you can't take the exam till you're 18. All the others you can. So why do you think it might be a good idea for you to take these classes, or at least one, right now? What would benefit you?
Less school later on.
Say that again?
Less school later on.
Less school later on. Very true. And classes are free when you're in high school at junior colleges, which is nice. What else? Why would that benefit you if you're thinking of a healthcare career or to take a class now? Yes.
More experience in the field to know what you want to do.
Okay, more experience in the field to know what you want to do. Nice. Anything else? What were you going to say? Oh, the same? Okay. Another thing that I found, being somebody who started here, was it gave me more of a community in that field, so I knew more of what opportunities there were. How many of you all hang out with healthcare people on a regular basis? Okay, that's a lot. I didn't at your age. But if you're not around them, you're not aware of certain opportunities that are there for you. So you might build new communities that give you more opportunities. And also when you're applying for programs and scholarships, it's always nice to have something that distinguishes you. And when you're working with people, you have a lot of stories to tell that have to do with character and skills. So you have some distinctness when you're applying for things that you want in your future, right? I have a good friend who is a physician, but when he was in college, he was an EMT. But when he was an EMT, he realized he wanted to be a physician, but at first he was an EMT. So you can do these things and be not sure if this was all you wanted to do or go on. But when he did decide to become a physician, that really served him and made him stand out because he knew how to do an entry-level job. He knew how to work with people who had less education. He knew how to get his hands dirty. That served him. He got into a good medical school. And then down here at the other side of this pathway is called advanced practice. And this is people who enter here are people like a physician who had gone to 4 years of college, 4 years of medical school, 3 years of residency. That's 11 years. And then they get their first paycheck as a doctor. For me, I went to school as a CNA. That was my first job. I went to school for 8 weeks, and then I got my first paycheck. Our first paychecks looked very different, right? So you can enter all the way along this path. That's what's unique about healthcare. If you're interested in finding out more about this now, on the website, there is a flip side to your career diagram, not on the black and white one you guys have. We were just saving paper. But on the website, if you go to the teacher page, this handout's there, and there are 3 numbers. One is a number for the JC. If you are interested in these classes now, you can call a counselor there, make an appointment, and figure out how to enroll as a high school student. If you are interested in some Sonoma State programs, they have Upward Bound, and they also have an internship program for high school students. So these are some local resources for you. If you're interested, go check it out. Do you have any questions about this? Okay, other handout. There is another handout you have that says mental health resources. And who put this together is the Youth Healthcare Symposium, Mi Futuro, the committee. We also wanted to recognize that part of finding your own path is mental health wellness. Making good decisions out of a healthy place is very important. And so we just wanted to touch on that a little bit and let you know that mental health wellness is part of you getting on the best path for you. When I say mental health wellness, a few things come to my mind, but I more often hear mental health illness. And there's a difference between mental health illness and mental health wellness. For example, when you think of illness in general, What do you think of? What'd you say? You're sick. Yeah, you have a disease. You have something. You are sick. Not everybody is sick. Not everybody has a disease. Not everybody has a diagnosis. But we all can be well. We all 100% have wellness available to us in some capacity. Some people may not be able to be 100% well. They may just have pieces of them that are well. But we all can have mental health wellness. But we can't all have mental health illness. We can't all have that. Not all of us have a chemical and biological difference in the way our brain functions. We are not all able to be mentally ill. We can't do that. But we can all have mental health wellness. So as a committee, we just listed a few very common things that are about mental health wellness and that we see in ourselves when mental health wellness is on a decline. It's not as good as it could be. So how we imagined you guys using this is to look over this and to see if you can relate to any of it and to just have a sense of awareness. So for example, me, if I were to sit down and read this list, I circled avoidance. Because for me, when I'm stressed or when I'm kind of worn down, I'm maybe not as resilient emotionally or in my thoughts, then I tend to avoid. I start to avoid more than I want to just sit down and get things done. So what I want you guys to do is to take out that paper, and if you have the diagram on the front, I want you to flip it over and to put it on the side of the mental health resources. I just want you to take a few seconds and read through that. I want you to circle one thing that you can relate to. These are all common things. And then I'm going to ask a few of you to share. Okay. Who can share something? I said my thing, when I'm stressed, I'll avoid. What about you guys? Who has a few things they could share? How about two people who could share one thing? So these are all common, and the purpose of just pausing is to just do a self-check and check in with yourself of, are you making decisions that are really at a place of wellness versus not being well? We tend to have more regret, right? When we think of regret, there's two things that come to mind. One is regret being what most of us think about, that we did something, said something, and we wish we would not have, right? But the other definition of regret is not doing something. So say you wanted to get to know that person, or you wanted to check out that experience or that course or that college or whatever, and you had doubt or you had avoidance and you missed the deadline, or you felt overwhelmed and couldn't think of it. And then later you're kicking yourself, like, why didn't I get to know them? Why didn't I try? So that's the other side of regret. And doing a pause and a check for mental health wellness helps us make decisions that we don't regret, right? So go ahead and put that aside. On the bottom of this, there are two numbers that are 24-hour services available to the public. If you ever feel like you want to talk with somebody about any kind of mental health wellness or absence of it, they're always there. And we're going to jump into my career path as a nurse and how I got there. And there's two things that I'm going to talk about in my story that are pause points, I call them. One is at a restaurant one night. This was my first job. How many of you guys are working? Okay. What are you working as? What'd you say? Restaurant. Okay. What else? Restaurant. I heard something over here. Caregiver. Okay. In a home? No.
In-home support services.
Oh, great. Awesome. Okay, so my first job was a restaurant. And then the second thing I want to talk about is I had a 1-year pause in school. And those both changed how my life ended up. So how old are you guys? Any 15-year-olds? 16? 17? Okay, any 18? No? Okay, everybody's 16, 17. 16 and 17 were very significant years for me. I was 16 when I graduated high school. I'm a summer birthday. At 16, does that sound like I'm smart? Usually people think that. But when I graduated high school, I had a 1.75 GPA. Do you know what that is in average? Is it an A average? Not even close. What'd you say? It's like a D plus, D. It's a D average. So when I graduated high school, I had a D average. So I was either on or off for school. There were some semesters where I was ahead in classes. I was smart, so sometimes I'd be ahead in years in classes. And then other semesters, I'd be flunking chemistry twice, barely getting by in biology. In the end, 1.75 GPA. Not impressive, right? The thing I'm bringing up and saying that is that sometimes I'm 100% on for my life, and other times I'm not. And that's pretty much true for everybody. And at that time in high school, I was not 100% on for school. How many people here are 100% on for school right now? Nice. It's hard to be 100% on for anything all the time, but there are plenty of times I am. So in high school, I was not, and you could tell. And then in college, I was. And so in college, I got very good grades. I ended up going to nursing school, and I'll tell you how I chose that. At the end of nursing school, the faculty at my nursing school always acknowledged one student that had performed highly academically, had good leadership, good character, one of those. And that was me. So I went to from 1.75 GPA in school, not 100% in high school, and then being 100% on and doing very, very well. So we are always kind of in between. As an adult, I can still say the same. Sometimes I'm 100% on, sometimes I'm not. So have self-compassion, knowing that that's just part of being human, and you'll understand that as you have more life behind you.